No. Hey, what's up everybody? It's Mike here. So in my last video I talked about the history of Bigelow Aerospace and how they got started and their whole plans for their Space Station Alpha and Space Station Beta, which is going to be an assortment of the different Sundancer and BA 330 modules. I kept on calling it 33 modules, but 330 modules. Anyway, they're planning on assembling those in orbit, and the whole idea for that came about originally as the CSS Skywalker, CSS standing for Commercial Space Station. And Bigelow has a little bit of competition for commercial space stations, but I'll talk about that in a little bit in a different video. Anyways, other than these space stations that are going to be in orbit, Bigelow has some really cool plans of other places to put these space stations. One of which is in orbit around the Moon, and another one is in the Lagrange point 1 between the Earth and the Moon. I feel like I need to explain Lagrange points. This diagram here shows the Lagrange points between the Earth and the Sun. Now, Lagrange points are gravitational dead zones in space that if you were to put something in that position, like a satellite, it would constantly stay in that spot. And as the Earth would revolve around its orbit around the Sun, you would get any object placed in those spots to revolve around the Sun or any object that you're revolving around and stay in their orbits ahead of it or with it, just like you can see in this animation right here. Now imagine that the yellow sun in the middle there is actually the Earth, and the blue is the Moon orbiting around the Earth. Bigelow wants to put a space station in that point number 1 there that you can see, and would orbit with the Moon around the Earth. And it would be a way station for any incoming travelers to stop at, whether they be robotic or human, before going on to the Moon or going on to other destinations. And there's going to be a bunch of like fuel supply depots that are going to be placed in that Lagrange point 1 as well. But we'll talk about those in another video because Bigelow might be involved with that, but it's a little bit more some different proposals. So we'll talk about that another time. Now the cool thing about this is Bigelow would like to attach some sort of lunar landers or lunar modules to the L1 station or the station around the Moon, so that anyone who is launching on a conventional rocket from Earth, sitting on top of any sort of the new commercial proposals that are out there, if they all get developed. The only one out there right now is pretty much Dragon. And even that, as we know, is only just a cargo vessel right now, and it's only done one demonstration mission, so we'll see what happens with that. But I'm sure that SpaceX is going to eventually market that as a human-rated capsule. They're going to do it, regardless of whether NASA funds them or not. I believe that they are. Anyways, all this is leading up to what Bigelow is planning on what people can do once they get to the station and get in their lunar module and go down to the Moon. Well, instead of just being, go down there and kick around some rocks and stuff, they're going to set up a instant base to be there on the Moon that you can go to. The instant base is going to be set up of 3 BA 330 modules, and it's going to have legs attached to all the modules that are going to allow it to land on the surface of the Moon unscathed, pretty much. And I'm sure the legs will have some sort of landing system, spring shock absorber type of system. It will be assembled in orbit, and as you can see at figure 18 are the landing legs. And this is an early design. There's more that have come out that have longer legs, but I unfortunately don't have any pictures of those. But once it's all put together, and they have all the supplies and everything they need, they'll fire the maneuvers that they need to do in order to get onto the surface of the Moon. And then once they are on the surface of the Moon, pretty much they've said that anyone who gets there first has the right to use it. And eventually they're going to charge, rent for using these facilities, but that's pretty much what Bigelow has said in the past anyway. Now before they even land this base on the surface of the Moon, there's going to be a robotic presence that's going to need to be set up before it lands, such as solar panels to provide electricity, any sort of in-situ resource utilization, rovers, robotic rovers, and also rovers for human visitors, which you can see in this picture. And then you'd also need a way for people to return back home. And at first I'm sure the lunar landers would have their own return module, just like the Apollo lunar module. But eventually they're going to be setting up return vehicles like this that you can see in this picture that will return people to the space station, either the moon orbiting one or the L1 space station, to return their trip back home. Now, Bigelow has announced a few times in the past different prices for how much it would cost to rent out the Sundancer module, which will eventually become Space Station Alpha as well as Space Station Beta, and then also the Lagrange point and Moon Station and Moon Base. But I don't want to really talk about that because like I've said, prices have changed over the years. So as these things get closer to becoming a reality, I think that then I'll be sure to tell you exactly how much it'll cost and how much I need donated in order to get me a trip. Now, Bigelow has discussed with NASA in the past about connecting either the Sundancer module or a 330 module to the International Space Station to give it more room. But NASA has come to Bigelow with a different idea. They're calling it Beam. Now, due to me going so over on time in the last video, I'd like to keep it short. I'm not going to talk about that right now. Let's talk about that in the next video. But it's a really good idea, and it all is leading up towards this whole Nautilus-x idea that has been circulating ever since January. And I promised last time that I'd talk about that in this video, but I'm just going to save it for next time. Let's keep the time down. So please subscribe to my channel, rate my channel with right down here with the like button. Give me any comments, any questions. And I'd love to hear and see any of you guys who are watching. So post a video response if you have the capability. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.